What's up, everyone? Welcome back to A Line in the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we are back today with another episode of the Fanhome build series of the USS Enterprise 1701D, and another modded episode. Now, in the last episode, I realized that I did not give you guys very good footage of me picking out the bubbles in the windows. I also went ahead and just jumped ahead and showed you one of the completed pieces, and I went ahead and assembled it. So, to be fair, I'm going to go ahead and back up, and we're going to go ahead and do a quick little resin window mod update, just to kind of give you a close-in view of what I'm actually doing and making sure I catch it on camera, one. And two, we're going to go ahead and finish the other half of the mod by adding our paint to the windows and getting our windows either chose to be lit or darkened, and I will show you how to do that. So first, that's right, stage 25. It has been a little bit since I've opened a new package. Now, to be clear, I'm not opening up this entire package. I'm only going to be opening up a little bit of it. I only need the whole panels, and the only reason I'm doing this is I, with gusto, went ahead and took care of all the other whole panels that we already had. And so in order to show you how to do this, I need to move forward a little bit. So now, down here at the bottom, we have the neck frame section. We're not going to be doing anything with that. I thought about assembling it, but the realization is there that, you know, we're also going to be having to do work on the neck. And so I don't want to move any further forward than we have to. So really what we're going to be doing is pulling everything out from here forward. And then I'm going to go ahead and set this neck section off to the side along with the DP screws in my Enterprise box. And basically just have it ready to go for later on. So let's go ahead and get our panels out here. So we are at stage number 25. Go ahead and get her open. We have our LED and our escape pods, some AM screws, and our trusty little card here. I have so many of these damn things now, it's crazy. Alright, and then the most important parts here. We're going to grab our whole panel sections. Oh, and look! Windows that I don't need to do anything with. Thank God. I am so delighted to not actually have to do anything with this. The work that I have to do is a little bit more intensive, but I really just dislike these. So I'm super glad to just go ahead and set those off to the side. We also have our, looks like our BM screws, our BP screws, and AM screws. For this, we're going to be setting aside our AM, our BM, and our DP screws that are going to be set inside in here, and the FMs actually. Everything else we are going to be using. So all of these are going to go back inside the stage 25 package, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this aside and keep everything nice and together. Alright, I got everything all set off to the side. We have our screws in place, we have our escape pods, our reflector, LED, and then our whole panel. This whole panel is actually pretty cool because it's just full of windows. We're going to be just putting in 3 of our escape pods, and we're going to be doing some light blocking behind. And then, as you see here, we're going to be following this light pattern in theory. What we have to do is after we get all of our windows installed, we're going to go ahead and put our reflector piece on. We're going to bring out our PCB, the testing PCB, and we're going to go ahead and light up our sections. We're going to light up this whole section, and I'm going to see if we have any super bright spots, which I fear might be the case in this one. And so that's where we're going to be deviating from the window scheme. Is anytime that we have LEDs directly behind one of our whole panel sections, and specifically behind one of our windows, we need to make sure that we're doing light blocking in that area, because no matter the amount of diffusion that we do here, it is going to just be too bright, and I cannot justify that brightness. So that's going to be the only areas where we deviate from the window patterns. So let's go ahead and get started and have a quick review of what we're going to need real fast for the resin windows. You are going to need UV resin. So I went ahead and I've got this, we're doing this at daytime, so I'm going to try to keep it covered up as much as possible. I tend to do only my resin windows at night just because I don't want to expose this to too much UV daylight, but it's not too bright out today, so we're going to go ahead and just do this real fast. But I am going to go ahead and get this on and off screen real fast. We do have our UV resin, and then I have the needle that we're going to be applying it with. You're going to need UV tape. This is a UV reactive tape. I'm not quite sure exactly the science behind it, but it's a UV tape. It's what you use for UV work. You are going to need a UV flashlight, high-powered, one that is rechargeable, and a good point and tip and trick for you. Make sure that every time you're going into doing this, your flashlight has enough charge. As the battery starts to fade off on the curve, the power on the flashlight goes down, and so the effectiveness of the UV light goes down. So every time you're about to use this, make sure you spend a little bit in anticipation and get your battery charged up. I have done so here. Then you're going to need a piece of paper towel. One of the mistakes that I made in the previous video is I just had my soft towel that I put my whole section down on. And I was using that also to clean off my resin like an idiot. You're going to want paper towel to clean off your resin off of your applicator. Now, what we're going to be doing and adding for the painted window mod, first up, you're going to want to use some Tamiya flat black or your flat black of choice. I choose to use the XF1 flat black from Tamiya. And we're going to be doing 3 coats of the flat black behind each one of the windows that are going to require us to darken it. And if we have to, we will also take pieces of electrical tape and put them behind, just as we will on the back of the escape pods. Next up, I like to use flat white, XF2 from Tamiya. Once again, another flat white is totally fine. Your choice, but I'm going to use flat white. And then what I've done as well is I've actually taken the flat white and I've thinned it down probably 1:1 with paint thinner, with the acrylic paint thinner. I thin it down because I want it to go on thin. And I want it to go on thin in 3 coats. The reason for this is I want enough light diffusion. But what I find is 3 coats may have been too much. So I'm going to test it after 2 coats. 1 coat was definitely not enough. So, but you want some light diffusion behind the lights that, behind the windows that you're going to want lit up with the just plain white light. And then I'm going to be using these 2 colored Sharpies, yellow and turquoise. I have ordered a set of Sharpies, the brush tip Sharpies, but I'm not going to wait for them to arrive right now. These work just fine. It just takes a little bit of patience in getting them applied to the resin windows once they're done. I like to, and as you saw a little bit of a differentiation in the window patterns. I want to bring a little life to my enterprise, and I think having these windows, because not everyone's going to have just the same color lights inside their quarters, and so I like to bring a little bit of differentiation there, and so we're going to be using both of these Sharpies. And then finally we're going to be using just black electrical tape. We'll be cutting this down to size and using this for light blocking behind any dark windows that need extra help after we get our 3 coats of paint on. And then we'll also be using this back behind our escape pods as well. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right, so here we go. Now, I have it kind of off-centered so that you can see it and I can see it, and I kind of learned some lessons from the last time. And so my whole goal here for this episode, by the way, is to kind of learn how to, in video form, do a better job of teaching how to do this work. I'm going to try to use some of the lessons that I've learned from the previous episode, and see what we can do to do a better job of instructing how to do this. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention in the previous part, and I say that, I have my sharp tool here. As you can see here, and I'm not going to try to get it to focus because I have it focused specifically on a spot so it doesn't kind of keep like phasing in and out. But as you can see, it is a very, very small surface at the very sharp end at the end of that poker. So you're going to need that as well. So, as you can see here, I'm bringing this microfiber cloth might need to be replaced because it likes to grip onto things that I don't want it to. Okay, so to start, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our hull panel section, and I took my compressor and I went ahead and blew out each one of the windows just to make sure that there isn't any dust or anything like that. And I see a little piece sitting right there. That's just an imperfection with the paint. But I went ahead and made sure that there's no dust sitting inside. Now, I'm going to be taking my UV resin tape, and I'm going to be very careful not to get any fingerprints in the spots where the tape lays down. And I'm going to go ahead and lay it over the first row. And just a reminder, we're only going to do one row at a time. We're going to push down very slightly. Try not to cup inside to the inside of the windows. It will naturally do that on its own, so don't help it. Now, what we're going to do is we got our paper towel here. I'm going to go ahead and take care of any excess resin that might be sitting on the outside. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little bubble of resin, just like that, dab it off in the napkin, and then back to forth, back to front up to down. I am going to take my resin and drop it into each one of my windows here. Now I need to tell myself and remind myself that the very last window in the sequence doesn't have tape. And each time I am moving in between windows, I'm keeping even pressure on the bottle, because I don't want to pull that resin back into the bottle and give the chance for air bubbles to form. Enough of those are going to form on their own. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure we have enough resin in each one of our spots. We're good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to look and I'm going to turn on my light real fast. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up to the camera. And between the camera and my magnifiers, see if I can't find any bubbles. There we are. I've got a bubble right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pushing around the outside of the resin, around the bubble, attempting to get it dislodged. And then I'm going to use my towel to dab off. There we go. Once you get it moving, you need to pull it away. What I like to do is kind of slightly pull it out and then pop it along the outside. And where I notice they tend to form, for whatever reason, it tends to be either in this top right corner or this top left corner. So, these first two, and I'm going to go ahead and pull these up real close to me real quick and go off camera real fast. Okay, these first two are perfect. Sometimes that happens. And I didn't quite get this one out of the way. Now, for the sake of you guys being able to see it, I'm going to kind of keep pulling this up and out of the way so I can see what's going on. But I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. What I'm doing is pulling that up and over. There it goes. And if you have to pull all of the resin that goes with it, go for it. As long as you're not pulling it into the lugs, you're totally fine. Okay, there's a bubble right there in the top right corner. So, going to just very slightly move the resin. Don't try to get the bubble, because the bubble's sitting right near the surface of the tape. So you just want to move the resin, and eventually the bubble will start to move. And there are two bubbles that were down there. You're also looking for any dust that may have made its way in. I like to take this loop end, so I got it near the surface. Just kind of pull it over the edge and let it deal with it right there. You do want to pop the bubble though. And the reason why is it will find its way back down into the resin, which I have found. Okay. I'm going to look at this one real close, real fast. So there's a tiny bubble up here, top left. That one just kind of came up to the surface. And once again, you're moving the resin around the bubble, not the bubble itself. Okay, this one's still a bubble there. And one of the things you find is that you got to keep moving the pieces because occasionally a bubble will pop up. Okay, so we have one bubble each, these top left spots. So you're just going to move the resin around the bubble. Yep, that one. I'm starting to get the touch back. And it's okay if you spill it out a little bit over the edge. Just as long as it doesn't go into there or surround this too much. Okay, and we just have the tiny little one up here on the top left. There it goes. Yep, trying to make its way back in. I'm going to pull this back over if it's being stubborn like that. So I'm going to use the loop. Pulled too much resin there, but I think we're going to be just fine. I am, however, going to pull this resin away. And this is totally fine. Once again, that's not a concern. You just don't want to get bubbles inside or around the lugs. There we are. Okay, I'm going to do a quick inspection real fast. Looks like a bubble's popped up right here. So don't rush this process, by the way. Bubbles will occasionally pop up, and when if they pop up during make sure we're focused here. If they pop up during the resining process, it can be a real mess. Yep, there's one that's popped up right down here in this corner. I'm going to turn it this way. Oh, there it goes. Oop. Okay, so we're ready for our flashing. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this off screen real fast. We'll be right back. Well, in the middle of doing this, we got a first big bubble to happen on my actual whole panel. And that was through no fault. I think maybe I took too much resin out of there, actually, now that I think about it. So what we're going to wind up doing is I'm going to let that fully cure here for a minute, and then I'm going to punch it out real quick. And then in the next process of me like doing the rest of these panels, which I'm going to do off camera real quick, I'm going to punch that out and take care of it. It's super easy. I will show you guys at some point how to do that, but I need to be able to record that more properly. So I've let the panel dry once again, and so I'm just going to go ahead and peel my tape. And it is normal, I guess, for this tape, I don't know, for it to leave that stuff behind on the screen. I am not quite sure why it does that, but it does. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to use our spudger, or whatever you want to call this, our clay working tool, silicone paintbrush. to go ahead and make sure I get all of this stuff out, because I didn't do a very good job of that last time as well. I was kind of upset that I had left some of this stuff behind. You just got to work at it. I don't know if I should be letting this cool longer. If you guys know, let me know. Like, I should be just letting the resin tape cool longer, but from what I understand, you want to pull it off pretty quick. Okay, so the rest of these turned out really great, except for the one here at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and punch that out and then get this resined up, and then we're going to come back and review the work and then get some painting done. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and not without a little incident or two. Wound up getting a couple more bubbles, and I don't know why. Now, the issue that I wound up running into is I had to punch the windows out, and you were able to do that, but as you can see here around the two windows that I had to punch out, some of the paint came off. So I need to figure out what this color is, and I know what this color is, and I went ahead and just ordered it. So I'll be able to get this painted up again, but yeah, it was not without incident, and we have another bubble here that I just picked up right now, actually looking on camera, and this is a darkened window, so I'm just going to deal with it. Punching out of these windows does not, oh, also, it doesn't go without incident. That also happened here, and I happened to break the little divider in between the two windows. So, don't rush, take your time, and even me, who's been doing this now for a little bit, is going to make mistakes and break things, and so I'm not exactly pleased with the work that we've done, and I'm curious, like, I seem to be doing just fine when I'm not recording, and so I'm likely going to be only showing the painting of the windows going forward. I really need to slow down and take my time, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, a little frustrated right now with how kind of it turned out, but overall, though, the effect once the windows were all installed, as you can see here, nice and clear, and we're ready for our paints. And we're going to go ahead and switch to the higher up camera real quick, and we will be right back. Alright, so where we're going to start on our basically light blocking for the first half of it, and our window painting is going to be getting our escape pods separated from the sprue real fast. Let's go ahead and take care of that. And I just have my single bladed nippers here real fast. Don't have to really do super precise work, and so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off as close to the end of the gate as possible. There we are. Super glad I don't have to deal with the windows. Other than what I just did. Oh, that was awful. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that the little red line is facing down, and we're going to go ahead and slot them into their spots. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of my brand new, actually, black electric tape. Yeah, this stuff wasn't sticking so well, so I think it was a little old. So I'm just going to grab a little piece here, grab my hobby knife, pull that off. I'm going to measure. It's crazy. I know. So, Jordan. About 1.2 centimeters there. Now, let's go ahead and measure how... Didn't think to measure how long I needed to go here, just how wide. So we are going to go... Let's call it 3 centimeters. Trying to be precise because some of the... when I was redoing this, some of the pieces of tape were a little thin, and I was a little worried about light blocking, and I had to go through and make some corrections. So I'm going to measure going forward. Okay, and then get that lined up there. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this silicone brush, and I'm just going to be pushing in along the edge here. And this tells me, based on the fact that there is a opening up here at the top, this is going to be slotting into, this is what, 03. So this is deck panel 3 or 04. No, it's 3. So, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's likely just going to link up with the bottom of the next one. There we are. Okay, so we've done our light blocking there, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up this image here real fast. And that image is of our lighting pattern. But before we get started on the lighting, what I need to do is go ahead and test our LEDs to see how they affect our hull panel. Okay, so to test that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our reflector piece. We're going to set it down, and then we're going to take our LEDs, and I don't think it really matters which side they go into which. I'm going to go ahead and slot that into place. Slot this one into place, and this one looks like it has some built-in light blocking already. How interesting. And that goes right underneath here, right underneath the escape pods. Very interesting. I wonder why that is. So, for the sake of keeping because I don't have the windows in, for the sake of keeping everything nice and tidy, let me go ahead and do that, and do that. Get them pressed down over the lugs. So it's now just kind of put into place. Now let's go ahead and plug this into one of our slots here and take a look to see how we are lighting up. Do I need to take any special precautions, so to say? So this light, or this window, is already blackened, so we only need to worry about it right here. And overall, yeah, not too bad. It's going to be a fairly easy lighting job. So, what we're going to do here is go ahead and remove this. I'm going to leave our PCB off to the side for now so we can test at the end of the episode. Then, let's go ahead and remove, without trying to mess with the reflector, without trying to mess with the LEDs too much. Go ahead and remove our piece. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our flat black paint. And because I know that this one's going to be light blocked off, we're going to go ahead and just do one coat of the black. Should we just do tape over the top? I think we should just do tape over the top. Yeah, tape over the top should be just fine. Matter of fact, before we start painting. Okay, so I just have a piece of black electrical tape that size, and I'm just going to take that and put it directly over the top of the window here. And instead of painting it or anything like that, because I know that we'll wind up just needing the tape over the top anyway, we're just going to go ahead and do that. There we go. So now, we're going to grab our flat black paint, and I'm going to be using that diagram, and I'm going to darken our windows according to that pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that diagram up here in the top left corner. And the cool thing is it has like the interior and the exterior view. So we're going to go ahead and paint these two windows right here. And you want to get all the way around the outside of the window. Don't try to paint within the lines. You want to get a lot of paint on there. And you want to get it over the edges. Okay. So there we got there. And then we have the two over here. Just like that. Come over the edge just a little bit here. Try not to get the windows next to it. Now, I did get a bubble in here, so any ones that I get a bubble that I choose not to take care of, I'm going to go ahead and just darken. And that's totally fine. And then it's going to be the last four over here. Be careful along the bottom rows. You don't want to get too much paint down along the bottom because it can run if you're not careful. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and get 3 coats on, and we will be right back. All right, our 3rd coat of black paint is on. Now it's going ahead and time to choose a couple of windows that we're going to apply our markers to. So let's go with turquoise, and let's do just one window in the turquoise, and I'm going to do this one right here. So with Sharpies, there are the paintbrush Sharpies, which, like I said, I'm waiting for, which is much better and easier for this process. But for the sake of getting this episode done today, we're just going to do it with this. And what I recommend is get a ton of color down and make sure you get all the way to the outside. And then you want to hold this up to a light source and see how even you got it. And that's where the marker, the Sharpie marker comes into play, or the Sharpie paintbrush comes into play, because it's a much more even coat of color. But we just got a little spot of color right there, as you can see. So there we go. Then let's go ahead and grab a 2 window panel section, and let's go ahead and do that up here in the top right. And once again, we're just going to color and lay a ton of color down, and just keep coloring and don't pull up. Get all the way around the outside, and then hold it up to light. Alright, now it's kind of cool. One's a little diffused and one's a little bit brighter, so there we are. And that's all the color we're adding for that one. Now let's go ahead and grab our thinned out white paint, our flat white. We're going to grab just a little bit of this. We don't need too much. And we're going to do 3 coats of this. And what we're going to do, we're going to come in. I'm going to get most of this off of my brush. And then anywhere there's a lug, you come in from the bottom. And then you're just going to completely cover the window surface. You're going to do this for every window. Try to get it as even as possible if you can. And like I said, get it all the way to the outside. So the light will have a way of finding its way through, so to say. And you want every bit of that light either blocked or diffused. Careful once again, coming around to the edges of your panels. Ooh, that was close. Ooh, that was real close. Oh man. Be careful, I say. God. I'm getting better, but I'm still klutz. And that's that. So, when you turn it over, and it does, yeah, it definitely needs a second coat. We're going to do just 2 coats. Goodness me. There we are. So, that's what it looks like when our hull panel is completely colored in and done. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let this dry for a moment, get our second coat on, make sure everything's nice and even, and then we'll come back for assembly and then testing of the lights, and then to talk about what we're doing next. We'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and let my paint dry for about, 10-15 minutes or so, just to make sure that nothing gets scratched off when we put a reflector back on. So, this is what the backs of the panels look like after you're done resining, putting tape on, getting your colored windows in place, darkening your windows, and then putting your white down. So behind the 3 coats of black, I went ahead and threw a layer of electrical tape as well, just for extra light blocking And if the windows are darkened, we don't want to see anything through them. So, to give a quick little demonstration before we hook up our panel, what I have here is my cheap little Harbor Freight shop light. And it's a little bright, I apologize. But that is what the panel will look like all lit up. And everything looks really good. So, that's actually not too bad. I'm actually really surprised. Hopefully it's not getting washed out too much by the camera, but yeah, that turned out really, really good. Okay, so what we're going to do now, real quick, is we're just going to go ahead and get our panel assembled real fast. So we're going to go ahead and set down. Oh, what are you doing, Jordan? You know what you're doing here. We're going to grab one of our LEDs, get it fixed down into place. Grab our other LED, get that down into place. And because there are no windows to shake out, we just get to do this. Super, super awesome. That is the way. So, there we are. Yeah, you can see the stock light blocking there that they tried to do, and it just failed horribly. All right, our LEDs are nice fixed in place. I got my PH1 here. Let's go ahead and grab one of our BP screws. We're going to go ahead and put them in our 3 spots. Being careful not to over tighten. Just until it bites, and you'll know when. And for our final screw. That's pretty cool. The fact that we wound up opening a new package. I'm pretty excited about that. So this is all nice and sealed down. Our reflector is put down into place, and our newest hole section is ready to go. And that, my friends, is the painted window mod. So let's go ahead and plug into our PCB here. And kind of cup around it so you can kind of get a little bit of the effect, but there are our windows, and it's not as bright, obviously, as you get in the as we got with the Harbor Freight light, but there it is. That is the painted window mod. This is my mod. As a matter of fact, kind of taking little bits from Todd and his Marvel Phoenix's mod, and with the resin window mod, and then I went ahead and am applying my own little window pattern and way of doing this. So this is my mod, and I'm actually pretty proud of the fact that I have created a mod for the Fanhome Enterprise. That's pretty cool. So that's what I got for you today. I feel like I did a pretty good job of explaining how this process goes. I paid attention to trying to learn and teach you guys how to do this. And if you guys have any pointers, any questions, anything like that, for things that I could do better to help teach these processes, please let me know down below. In the next episode, we're going to be doing our light blocking mod. Now, this one is pretty cool. We're going to be taking our Uhu Patafix, our Pro Power, rolling this stuff up into little tubes, and as we go through, we're going to be assembling all of the hole sections that we have already created and done. And let me just go ahead and I'll bring them into focus here real fast. It's sitting on top of the box that has all of the stages that I have in it. These are all done, ready for assembly, and so we're going to go through and carefully assemble all of our hole panels while putting this Uhu in between, and then using some of our spudgers and all of the different like clay forming tools. And we're going to be basically very carefully getting in between each one of our hole sections and blocking off any potential light bleed that we could possibly have. So that's what I got for you today. Make sure you check out next week's episode, because we're definitely deep into the mods on this model, and I am really looking forward to bringing this next one to you, because to be honest, I am really ready to put this all back together so we can start moving forward with our model again. We're going to be doing some more mods after this, but I think after getting all these parts put back together, it's going to kind of give me this sense of satisfaction that we're actually moving forward, because right now we are still stepped back with all of our parts disassembled from the model, which were already assembled. So that's what I got for you today, and I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things you all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me, watching me take a risk with a very expensive model and mod it, which I think is pretty damn cool. If you guys have any questions, comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world wherever you happen to be. And just remember to always live long and prosper.